This episode has been brought to you by CompleteNutra.com, Whole Family Nutrition. Welcome to the Healthy and Family Show. Each episode features interviews with doctors, experts, and real moms revealing their secrets on how to keep you and your whole family holistically healthy. Your host is David A. Stone, award-winning movie producer, Amazon best-selling author, certified moringa grower, and founder of CompleteNutra.com, Whole Family Nutrition, which is committed to providing the highest quality, science-backed, non-GMO, all-natural nutritional supplements to keep your whole family healthy. Here's David.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is David A. Stone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Healthy and Family Show. If you're tuning in today, that means that you believe that the health and wellness of your family should be top priority, but maybe you're a little bit confused with all the conflicting health advice out there. So the goal of this show is to introduce you to the doctors, experts, and real moms that have the tips, tricks, and tactics that can help you lead a more healthy life and help your whole family lead a more healthy life. And so if you watched any of the other episodes, Dr. Jessie Keener has been a constant guest on this show so far, and I think she's going to continually be a good guest because Dr. Jessie has opened up my eyes on so many different things regarding holistic health and how to be holistically healthy. And today we're actually going to be talking about something that is extremely relevant. We're going to be getting under the covers a little bit of 5G and radio waves and EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, and what we can do to protect ourselves. Because the world is changing, the world is shifting, but there are things that we can do to protect ourselves. Today, Dr. Jessie is going to be educating us on some essential knowledge that we must know in order to protect our body, to protect our mind, to protect our physical health from radio waves and microwaves and other things that do not allow our body to heal. In fact, they produce something called free radicals. And free radicals are what rust our cells or create oxidation within our cells, which lead to cancer. And this is why at Complete Nutra, we offer the Complete Turmeric, which I talked to you about before, because the Complete Turmeric provides so many antioxidants, and antioxidants fight free radicals. Now, there's another essential formula that I want to talk to you about today, and this is Complete Essential 6. And the reason I want to mention this today because D3 and K2 are very important ingredients. Now, vitamin D, there's many reasons for us to be taking and supplementing vitamin D. And one of the main reasons is that we do not get enough vitamin D from the sun. Now, that's how we get vitamin D as people, is we go outside and we get sun exposure. When the UVB rays of the sun hit our skin, our body makes vitamin D. Here's the problem. Science is finding that most people are deficient in vitamin D. Now, this might be for a few reasons, but maybe we're not going outside as much as we used to. Maybe we're wearing more sunscreen, because when we wear sunscreen, we actually don't allow the UVB rays of the sun to hit our skin and interact with our body, and that's how our body produces the vitamin D, is from the UVB rays of the sun hitting our skin and interacting. So if we wear sunscreen, we're blocking that interaction and we are not allowing our body to produce vitamin D. And another thing is, we are taught to be so afraid of the sun that everybody just covers up all the time when they're outside a lot of times. And so if you're covering up all the time when you're in the sun, you are not getting vitamin D. So studies are showing that most of us are deficient in vitamin D, so we need to be supplementing vitamin D every single day. This is called Complete Essential 6 for a few reasons. The first reason is because D3 and K2 together work synergistically to not only transport calcium out of the arteries, but it transports that calcium into the bones. So a lot of times people that have heart problems have hard arteries, and that's because the calcium that they've been eating in their diet, or whatever calcium that they're getting, does not get transported to the right place. And this is what K2 does. K2 helps transport calcium from your arteries into your bones. So it helps not only lower blood pressure, but also helps increase bone density and bone strength. So D3 and K2 are very essential. And this is why this is called Essential 6. They're essential to our body functions, our core main body functions, the way our blood flows throughout our body and provides nutrients to our entire body. So that's why D3 and K2 are so essential for our entire body. Now, these are the 6 things that are on the label that it does. It supports bone health, healthy heart support, assists your immune system, weight management assistance, supports mental health, and supports sexual health. Now, a lot of those reasons are because when your blood flow is increased and able to flow more freely, instead of having high blood pressure, you have low blood pressure, and your blood is able to just flow freely through your body. And that benefits all of these functions. So there's many other reasons why all these functions are benefited, but that's also not everything that's in our formula. We also have an additional ingredient, which you've heard before, which is also in our turmeric, is BioPerine. BioPerine is a black pepper extract, and this also helps absorption into our body. So this is the highest absorption product that you're going to find on the market. Do your research, but D3K2 is something that you need to be taking every single day. Now, the doses that we have here, you can take 1 in the morning and you can take 1 in the evening. Now, if you have some kind of a bone density issue or an osteoporosis, you can double this up and you can actually quadruple this up. So if you want to take 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning, 2 in the evening or 4 in the evening, you can do that also. This is not something that you can overdo it if you do like way too much, but really don't go above 4 each time. But the idea is you need D3 and you need K2 in your body for essential body function and body health. So I just wanted to mention that because this, coupled with the turmeric and coupled with their complete brain and focus formula, pack a powerhouse punch. So if you want to support our guest today and also support your health at the same time, go to CompleteNutra.com, fill up your cart with some incredible formulas like Complete Essential 6, Complete Turmeric, and Complete Brain and Focus Formula. And when you fill up your cart at checkout, enter this code, Dr. Keener 20. That's DrKeener 20. And you're going to get 20% off your entire order. So thank you so much for watching. And I'm really excited because right now we're going to be getting into why EMFs affect our health and what we can do about it. And Dr. Jessie's going to be lifting the covers on 5G so we can understand it a little bit more fully and see really what the whole point of this 5G situation is, and if we can figure out some other technology that we can use that may be faster in the future. But let's get right into the conversation. So welcome, Dr. Jessie Keener. Thanks for being here, Dr. Jessie.
You bet. It's such a pleasure, Dave.
So today we are going to be talking about 5G, EMFs, and I'm not really sure where this is going to go, but I kind of just really want to, I know I've been hearing a lot about it and that it's negative and stuff. So I kind of just want to get your take on the whole 5G situation and how is it supposedly affecting our health?
Right. And we're going to start at the beginning with that because it's a very important topic. But I do find, like you, most people really don't know anything about what an EMF is. An EMF stands for electromagnetic frequencies.
Okay.
And we certainly don't understand the hazards of 3G and 4G, which are abundant in our world right now. So let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
The truth of and this is going to be just straight shooting. The truth of the matter is, for all life forms that are mammals that we know of, humans for sure, there is no real safe electrical grid. Not in the home, not in our schools, not in our buildings. These vibrational frequencies apparently are harmful to mammals. The reason we don't talk about it, hear about it, read about it, aren't taught about it in school is because the powers that be don't really want us knowing that even though this serves a valid purpose, they don't want us to know that it's actually harmful. So 100 years ago, when houses were starting to be wired with electricity, this would have been, something they didn't have the science to tell. Now we have the science to tell. So the problem with electricity is it generates a field that over time creates free radical damage to cells, inflammation to the body. That's okay, though, because this was all started before the advent of things like computers, cell phones, microwave ovens, appliances, refrigerators. And I know this might sound like a shock, Dave, but I'll tell you what, refrigerators are huge emitters of EMF fields. Wow. So what am I saying? Yeah. What am I saying? I'm saying as we became more advanced as human beings, sadly, our environment, our actual homes and our workplaces and our schools and our universities, libraries, they all became more and more toxic to us. Many, many different ways, but one of which is intense amounts of electrical fields. Then you start putting up cell phone towers. Then you start putting up satellites in space beaming down. Again, this is all before 5G, just so we're clear here. And now you have a real problem. But you're not going to see our government agencies talking about this yet. This is probably as good a time as any for your audience to understand my perspective on this, which is the powers that be don't want us learning about this. They don't want government agencies getting to the truth of this because this keeps us weaker. This keeps us more physically challenged. And this is a way of controlling us. And that's just the bottom line.
Wow.
We will find out in our lifetime, Dave, in fact, that there are technologies already in place way better than what we're using right now, where you could have all of the benefits that we have with our modern electrical fields and everything else, but none of the downside.
Wow.
So, yes. So when I came into this field, remember those of you that have seen my story, I came in through the back door. I was a sick patient, downtrodden, losing it literally, right? And I remember my doctor, Dr. Teresa Dale, saying to me that there were real problems with EMFs. This was 1984. And she was not a major pioneer. She was a pioneer, but there were already, people that knew about this and it was getting talked about. So she told me, and this is again one of those shockers, like your refrigerator can be really bad for you because of the engine running all the time. She said, Jessie, never use a microwave oven. Don't be around microwave ovens when they're running. You need to be at least 12, if not 20 feet away from a microwave. So when you go to restaurants, she said, you might want to find out like what's going on behind the scenes there. And, and that's really sad, but it's really true.
I've heard people say they have to be safe. I mean, they're selling them like they're in everybody's homes. Like I don't have a microwave, but a lot of people do. And they use it every day.
Yes, they do, because they rely on our government agencies to keep us safe. And that is not what's happening with government agencies. There's a big word called lobbying. Lobbying is what takes care of those details. And I'm speaking kind of in tongue here a little bit for a reason. But the reality is, no, these things are not safe. And the government agencies that oversee these things are not safe for us because they don't have our best interest in mind. They have money in mind. They know where their funding comes from.
Right.
So we're at a point right now where before 5G even rolls out, we have health hazards happening because of EMFs, electrical fields, microwaves, radio waves, and all these things. And I thought, just for fun, Dave, earlier today, I was thinking about our show, and I said, I'm going to get on a famous browser called Google, and I'm going to Google harmful effects of electromagnetic fields. And it literally went through the whole thing. And it said the only ones that we know are harmful are basically X-rays if you're exposed too much. I mean, there was nothing where a person could go and say, your cell phone may be harmful. No, it was basically saying our government agencies agree that these things are safe. So part of the importance of a show like this and other shows, but this one in particular, is we're talking about things that people need to learn that they won't learn in other places. Mm-hmm. You're not going to learn that your microwave isn't safe on mainstream media. Mm-hmm. You're not going to learn that from your internist or your gynecologist. You're just not. So the reality is these cause inflammation in the body. They're in the top of my field. They're known to cause inflammation, brain inflammation, disruptions, depression. It's
now,
really
is it because they basically it's energy moving through space, which actually moves through our bodies, really
through our bodies, and the different wavelengths are what really matter, and that's the problem. The problem is that most of these modern conveniences that we use generate the wrong kind of wavelength. And again, it's hard to find that out unless you have access to the research and you have ways of finding things out that might not be on Google.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize it was as deep. I was like kind of more like, oh, 5G is bad. 5G is the thing that's coming in.
5G is going to make everything else look like child's play. I agree. So 5G
but
is going to be...
we didn't realize that everything else before this, it feels safe. Feels like it's been safe. You know
Correct,
what I mean?
Because our government let us have it. They wouldn't want to harm us, would they? So the reality is, no, it's not safe, but we're used to it. These are the conveniences we're dependent on. And unless an alternative is put in our hands pretty immediately, it's going to be hard to disrupt us.
It's really very difficult to think that Dr. Mercola said that we're going to find out. He said we're going to find out in about 20 years that our cell phones are worse for us than cigarettes.
Worse than anything. And that's the latest. Yes, the latest is that strong electromagnetic frequency toxicity. That's actually the term now. You become toxic with these waves. But that's actually as dangerous to the health as smoking. So this is not a little thing. But if we use smoking as an example, Dave, how long did it take for the tobacco companies to be held accountable for the fact that this was dangerous?
They're still not necessarily being held accountable still.
So
they're still selling cigarettes.
Of how things work here. It's as one of my friends used to say, it's functionally dysfunctional.
And the cigarettes are way worse now than they were then too. They've actually just increased the amount of chemicals in cigarettes now. So, I mean, that's the thing about 5G that I'm understanding is it is so fast. Like what we're doing is we're trying to create the Internet of Things. And that's where 5G is necessary, not just for AI development, feeding more data through lines and satellites and going to Mars and all this stuff, Space Force. Like 5G is necessary or a technology that's as fast as 5G or faster. But that's the thing. They're going all in. And it does remind me of Tesla versus Edison because Tesla was talking about AC, alternating current with the wires, but he was also talking about wireless, which didn't get enacted because you can't charge for it. But then Edison was trying to do DC, which he was trying to run whole apartment complexes on battery power and stuff. And it would have been a whole bunch of DC apartment or city blocks. And Tesla's like, that's not right. So in one sense, 5G is kind of like trying to run a city apartment complex on DC, direct current, like on a battery, instead of figuring out an AC way, an alternating current way to do the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is the technology already exists. It's just been, the technology for something better than 5G. 5G is the goal, or better. Well, what I'm saying is the technology already exists for the better, because there is no safe 5G. They're just not okay. That so far, unless they revamp that technology, which I think is going to be the next best thing, that's what we have to do. People are starting to stand up and revolt against 5G because it's obvious. You know, when birds start falling from the sky, that's a sign, right? What the average person would need to see is literally someone talking on their cell phone near a 5G tower and blood spurting out of their nose. Sorry to be so graphic, but that's kind of what the average person would need to see to get how dangerous this is.
Joe Rogan said, and you know what? It's so weird. I thought he was kind of like open, but he just compared 5Gers to flat earthers. And I'm just like, you know, the weird thing is there's this like whole group of people that says, no, 5G's not bad. But I think, why is it bad? Because it's like opening a big, huge microwave door and just blasting it.
Literally. Okay. And that's probably the best way of saying it. It's like putting yourself in a microwave oven and putting it on defrost for an hour and expecting to live well after that. So, you know, we are really in trouble in this country with where it's going with 5G. Now we can all stand up. We can all say no. We can keep having our voices, which is part of what this show is about. Yeah. We can keep educating people that have an interest level in taking care of their health or their children's health. but it is serious. Now, again, this has been known about for about 40 years that I know of, people in my field that have been addressing it and actually treating people that had overloads from too much EMF exposure. Now that we have people waking up a little bit more, I think it's really important for them to understand that there are things you can do. So it's not hopeless, and we're not helpless.
Okay.
So there's some really interesting studies, and a lot of people in my field are wizards in clinical nutrition and herbal medicine and natural remedies. So one thing that we know for sure that really helps with this type of wave affecting the body is seaweed and iodine. We know that it mimics a radiation type effect in the body, and we know that giving the body seaweed and the naturally occurring iodine from seaweed can really help.
Wow.
We know that EMFs attack the cells and cause free radical damage. What's a free radical damage? I want you to think of like rust on metal outside that's been exposed to the weather and the cold and the rain, and then the metal starts to rust. At a cellular level, free radical damage is that. It's our cells literally starting to rust from an oxidative stress.
Wow.
So we can take antioxidants to support our health. What are antioxidants? They're the things that protect against that rusting I just mentioned, and they're in abundance in fruits and vegetables. So we can help ourselves with this situation by just making sure we have a great diet full of, non-sugary fruits, full of vegetables, concentrated greens. We can take things like seaweed capsules, spirulina, chlorella. Those sorts of things are going to be really helpful in keeping the body on the cutting edge. But I think it's also really important that people don't kid themselves. If you are an average American in an average household, and you've got a big screen TV, a refrigerator, a dishwasher, a washer, a dryer, your house is wired, you're on the computer several hours a day, you talk on your cell phone with it up to the ear, and you want good health, I think you're making a mistake not to invest in nutrition, supplements, and also some of these devices that are on the market now, which we definitely did not have in 1984, which can really help reorganize the waves in your home or in your environment so they're less harmful.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Technology, it's really interesting. So some of this technology came from what used to be West Germany. Again, remember, Hitler's scientists were really advanced in frequency stuff because they were looking for invisible weaponry. That was their motive. That's what they were getting paid to do. But in that process, they found out a lot about vibrational energy, frequencies, etc.
Wow.
So it's pretty wow. So we know that we can neutralize this stuff in homeopathy. There's actually a whole thing of medicine called homeopathy, and certain homeopathic remedies can actually help the body detoxify. Obviously, infrared sauna, being in nature, grounding, deep breathing, all of that's going to help the body be more robust because this thing is always happening to our bodies. It's 24/7. So I personally have invested since 1984. I was probably one of the first Americans to buy really good EMF protection stuff because I had a mentor that was into it. So now I have a cell phone device. When you look at the back inside the cover of my cell phone, you see a little thing.
Okay.
I wear a little device over in about 15 feet from me in the corner. Something's plugged in that's also working to reorganize the waves. We sleep with that at night. So there's a lot you can do for yourself. I think the big deal now is for people to get conscious because nobody was really that conscious a couple of years ago. It's interesting using the analogy of the COVID-19 that we're in right now. Remember how people were with the flu? It was like, no big deal. Just go to work if you're sick. Just, no problem. And nobody was saying things like social distancing or wear a mask or anything.
No.
And we were in all that, right?
Yeah.
So people are now waking up. They're like, nope. Not touching your face really does help. You know what? Washing your hands more frequently really does help. You know what else? Not coughing in someone's face really does help.
Right, exactly. Being more conscious.
Exactly, more consciousness. So the same thing with EMS. Now that people know, okay, there's other little simple things you can do. You can unplug your router at night. You can make sure that everything electrical around your bed is unplugged at night. Don't sleep with your cell phone by your head, even if you have a cell phone protector little device in there. Any energy it's emitting is not lawful natural energy.
Yeah.
Until we're all running off of Tesla type energy where it's truly good for you and free. then we need to be taking these extra steps. Drinking more water, making sure you're using a high quality sea salt, things that help the cells stay hydrated. These are all things we can do. And I think that there's been some interesting law cases where I know there was a story here in the U.S. where a school had some kind of a huge cell phone tower either right on the property or right behind the property, 5 different cancer cases.
Oh my
and
gosh.
They won that, and they had to take the cell phone tower out.
I mean, they're renting these 5G towers to schools. Like they're putting them above these playgrounds of all these schools around town.
Right.
It's
it's terrible. So this is the kind of stuff everyone needs to wake up to and start paying attention to.
So there's no healthy 5G. I mean, there's no like way
not that we know of
good.
yet. Now that's we out here. We're not on the inside. There's a very sad situation about a lot of American corporations that have been around for a long, long time, such as the energy corporations. The truth is energy really ought to be free. And the only reason it isn't free is because people had the idea that they could make it seem scarce, turn it into a scarcity commodity and start charging for it and start hoarding it.
Yeah.
But the reality is energy should be free, and the energy that we're circulating to run our conveniences should be free and healthy for us. Just like adequate sunlight is healthy for us, fresh air is healthy for us. So, we're not there yet with the technology. I think the main thing is for people to wake up about where they are right now, because we have to start with where we are right now. So if you're listening to this show and you've never considered any of these things and your mind is starting to swim and you may be thinking to yourself, well, I don't know how much those devices that Dr. Keener's talking about would cost, but, I'm in the middle of a pandemic with no income really, so I can't afford to do much. But you can afford to drink more water. You can afford to unplug devices at night where you won't, not your refrigerator, but a lot of your devices you can unplug. You can just try to be on the computer a little bit less. You can be outside a little bit more. So, I think that the more we wake up to
I've been
this
getting
stuff,
really familiar with airplane mode on my phone, and
yes.
it was actually I actually forgot it was on airplane mode, and it was perfect because it was Mother's Day yesterday. So I went over, hung out with my mom, and I put my phone on airplane mode. And then I forgot it was on airplane mode, and I went to just subconsciously check it, and it was like there was no new messages. So I put it away, and then later I realized it was on airplane mode, and I turned it back on. But the cool thing about that is it also gives you more one-on-one time to communicate with people.
Yeah. I just want to pick up on what you said, though. For people that don't know, turning your cell phone to airplane mode will drastically reduce the waves because your phone's always pinging, trying to make sure it's connected. And if you put your phone on airplane mode, and then as Dave pointed out, make sure you remember to take it off later when you need it, that keeps you a little safer. So go ahead,
It's more
Dave.
like a batching of emails. It's like back in the day with you've got mail, like Juno, like you'd log in and it's like, brrr, and you get all your emails and all your texts and emails and all your conversations. It's actually better than trying to check it all day long.
Yeah, way better. I would much recommend batching that kind of stuff.
2 to 3 times a day, turn it off of airplane mode and check them.
Exactly.
And then put it back on. As people are afraid of doing that because it just feels like another appendage of our body.
Yeah. Yeah, and not one that's necessarily going to construct well-being either. So we part of what's happening in 2020, and I've heard people saying it's the year of perfect vision, is that we start to see some of this for what it really is, like excessive entertainment that you really feel like you need, but do you really need it? Yes. I'll tell you what, let's go 3 days without any cell towers working, and we'll find out how badly we need it. And we'll find out that we really don't need it the way we thought. And then, like you said, you could develop a rhythm with it where 3 times a day you go in and get all your communications and spend time sending and receiving texts, and then you bow out and you go deal with healthy food and gardening, or you go
I've even heard
do
a
something
few
else.
Doctors prescribe electronic fasts for the family, like once a week, no phone, or a week, a month, no phone. Right? That's kind of crazy. People might think that's crazy.
No, it's not.
It's probably important.
When I was a very busy practicing nutrition and a nutritionist in a clinical practice, are you shocked I would prescribe 3 meals a day? No. So functional doctors, holistic doctors recognize that the ills that come with excessive electronic interaction. It's not just the EMFs. It's also the blue light. It's also just the posture, the repetitive postures that we get into, which is really kind of tragic. And again, we actually have the technology where we could be outside and have a little something like a cell phone, not need to be plugged into a carrier, not paying any money, and still transmit and receive. And then I'm just going to go out on a limb a little bit and say, and I think all of this is still actually training us for full-blown telepathy, which is, I believe, part of our original design. And that's what's coming. And so right now we're using all this technology, and it's kind of what I call rough technology because it's running off of electricity, and that's rough on the body. But I think the next wave that's coming, and it won't be that long, will be healthy, free power, free energy, maybe not even electricity per se, but producing the same results as electricity. And that's going to be really fun.
Wow.
I look forward to it. Yeah. But in the meantime, we just have to kind of sober up about this. I know that the latest cars all have a computer chip in there that's EMFing the driver all the time. So that's not okay. It's not okay with me. I mean, I wear a device, so I'm going to be protected in my car. But that's another thing to consider is even our cars are now EMFing us quite a bit. So again,
that's probably a benefit to an older car because an older car might even act as a Faraday cage a little bit if it doesn't have computer electronics in it.
And now you know why I'm driving a 2010.
Nice.
Doesn't look like much, but she's not toxic with EMFs all the time.
So this is going to bring back like tinfoil hats, but we're going to be like fashionable tinfoil hats.
Yeah, fashionable, right.
Because that's a Faraday cage.
It's a Faraday cage, right, exactly.
CompleteNutra.com, whole family nutrition.
Hi, Dr. Jessie Keener here, and we're going to talk today about Essential 6. The reason this is called Essential 6 is literally because it's essential to your basic well-being. Its main superstar is vitamin D3 coupled with its synergistic cofactor K2. Why are these so important? Because they really support immune function, but science also has found out that this combination really supports sexual reproductive health, cardiovascular health, and in many, many clinical trials in clinical nutrition, we've seen that even disease reversal, things like Parkinson's, MS, etc., in higher doses of vitamin D3 than your daily allowance. This is your daily amount, which is 5,000 IUs of D3 with the exact correct cofactors. And if you're fighting something, say you're coming down with a cold, or if I feel like I'm coming down with something, a little sore throat, I'll actually increase this to 3 times a day for a total of 15,000 IUs. Do that for a few days in a row to kind of jumpstart the immune system, get things moving on the right track right away. So the interesting thing is that our doctors, our medical doctors, the AMA, really don't study clinical nutrition. So they're not the ones to go to for this information. You really have to work with people that have been trained in clinical nutrition and have read the trials and understand why things like vitamin D with K2 are so important. So again, Essential 6, it works in 6 different directions of the body's functions. Everyone, mom, dad, kids above the age of 12, everyone needs this, college kids for sure. So get your Essential 6.
CompleteNutra.com, whole family nutrition.
So a couple other just hot little pointers too. We talked about infrared, being outside, adequate water. Also, you can do detox baths where you put some Epsom salts in your water, maybe a little frankincense, essential oil. Frankincense is a wonderful anti-inflammatory, by the way. Little frankincense in there. You do a soak for 20 minutes in not super hot water, but warm to hot water. And the Epsom salts makes a suspension that helps pull the toxins out. So what we're really talking about here is just stepping up and being more responsible about the fact that you are being bombarded. There's not much we can do about it really until there's a massive shift in how we receive our energy through those grids. But little by little, because Dave likes to talk about baby steps and building blocks. Little by little, you can build in more water, using sea salt instead of commercial salt, maybe taking some Epsom salts bath a couple times a week, eating more greens, making sure you're eating those high antioxidant fruits and vegetables. And I'm going to say one thing out loud really quick here about fruits and vegetables. It is just not true that we need all those fruits. There's a lot of emphasis in the American dietary world on eating fruits, but the reality is those are where your sugars come in. If you're already having EMF exposure, if you're already having, toxic cellular activity because of all the electrical grids and microwaves. Do you really want to be throwing sugar on top of that? And the answer is no, you actually do not. So you want to stick with the less sweet fruits or the lower glycemic fruits, berries, tart apples, pears, kiwi, but don't go around eating bananas and grapes thinking that you're helping your body detoxify. Unless you fast on grapes that are organic for about a week, in which case you would get to a nice detox.
Yeah.
Don't just snack on those thinking you're being helpful to your body, because it's just way more sugar. And again, most people just don't know this stuff. They don't realize that all fruit isn't equal.
Well, also we can get all fruit every day of the year now. It's like we don't have seasonal fruit seasons anymore,
like we used to. Right. So now in the winter you can get mango and papaya.
Yeah, I mean, you can get peaches when they're not in season. It's like the other side of the world's shipping them to us.
Exactly.
When you got a food forest, you get a little bit of this for a month. And then maybe a couple fruits will overlap each other. And then you get a couple different fruits that month. But, I think when I'm eating my own fruit that I grew, it feels a little different. But I don't really gorge myself on it. Well, sometimes. Sometimes I do. I don't feel bad about it. But it's not like I do it every single day either. Because I run out.
Yeah, and that's how it's supposed to be, right? Fruit was seasonal. We would eat all the berries and they were done. And we were in those nomadic hunting and gathering tribal days. We would just wander from, area to area, munching our way through, of course. So maybe during, berry season, we might eat a higher concentration of fruit. But the thing I want Americans to learn is, because we have this overabundance and everything is available all the time, really start looking at the quantity of vegetables you're eating. That's the thing I want to say, having been in the trenches as a nutritionist and a naturopath for 35 years. Americans always gravitate to the fruit. When docs say eat more fruits and vegetables,
they go
guaranteed 75% increase in fruit, just a minimal increase in vegetables. And now they wonder why they have diabetes 5 years later.
Wow.
So fruit sugar is, it's sugar. So be sparing with those sweeter fruits. And like you said, if it's seasonal, your tree is bearing really great pears or peaches or something, eat a bunch, but then they're going to be gone.
But and that's what's nice about moringa, the tree of life.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't it's not sweet. The tree of life, the most healing tree, is not sweet. It's actually spinachy, spicy, spinachy kind of flavor.
It tastes very green.
Very green. And when you have it in a salad, it gives it an extra spice. Trying to eat the powder alone is hard, but when you do anything savory, you can put it in there, and you're really just adding a massive amount of nutrients. Like if you're going to eat a steak and you put some moringa on it, now it's actually adding additional nutrients to that steak.
Yeah, you can put moringa in salad dressings. You can put them in its sauces. I mean, that's the other cool thing about moringa is it doesn't have an overbearing flavor like some herbs do. You can kind of blend this in with stuff, which is great.
Anything savory.
Anything savory, nothing sweet. But so then again, so what I want people at home that are watching this and kind of having their mind open up and go, wow, I never even thought about, the truth of this, because obviously I'm not making this stuff up. We all have this much electricity in our homes, and this has been a problem for decades and decades. So as we wake up to that, then the next stage would be looking at the dietary functions. Am I really eating lots of veggies and some good quality fruits? And then the other thing I would say is, because what we're going to be able to do until we have a transformation with what the energy source really is we're just going to be able to offset the risk factor. We're not going to be able to stop it. We're just going to offset it as much as we can. So adequate sleep at night, for sure. That's a biggie for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And never, ever, ever use electric blankets. Never.
Oh.
That's something really, think about that. You are lying under an electrical grid that is running all night long.
Wow.
So what my mentor, Dr. Dale, used to say was, okay, here's what you can do. An hour before bed, you can turn your electric blanket on, maybe a half an hour if it's a good one, and crank it up and get it nice and hot. Unplug it. She goes, don't just turn it off at the switch. Unplug it from the wall, get into bed to your nice hot bed. By the time the coolness is setting in, you'll be asleep. So I tried to get my mom to do that. She wouldn't. She just said, no, if I die, I die. And she's no longer with us, but not from that. Or was it? Because she did die of cancer. So there you go. But yeah, so 40 years ago, I stopped sleeping with electric blankets, no matter how cold it was. These are just little
we're
things.
Talking EMFs like this. I really was thinking more 5G. But like, that's what's kind of the mind-blowing thing right now for me is that we're talking about EMFs. Just that's literally radio waves in general.
Yes. And again, so much disinformation out there about whether they're safe or whether they're not safe. So, again, I'm going to say a lot of the science that our government agencies are functioning with is not actual science. It's what we call fake science. It's people whose experiments were paid off. They find some answers, they'll lobby it, and we're not going to mention names or anything like that. But I think that that's really one of the most important things I saw as I entered the holistic health field was how much muck was going on with what's safe and what's not safe. We're going to see this theme over and over and over in this show. I mean, just like you're not going to run out of areas to talk about.
Right.
When you lift up that little Pandora's box, you go, okay, so that's how this is actually going. So whether we talk about vaccinations and flu shots and COVID-19 vaccinations, whether we talk about EMFs and 5Gs, I feel like if people can wake up to the current EMF situation, Dave, that by the time they're really rolling out 5G, we'll just be better off, probably have a little more brain functionality, and be able to use our voices better. I mean,
so
we
what
have
does it
to
mean?
stand up.
What does it mean? I mean, I know we said a lot of things, but what does it mean a little bit more and like shorter to wake up to? What does that mean to wake up to EMFs?
That this is something that is slowly but surely killing all of us, slowly but surely frying our brains, and that unless you take precautionary measures, that's what you should expect. You should expect it to do what it does.
So it's a complete awareness of it.
Yes.
Then you can start asking yourself.
Some of the worst things.
Smart meters on the houses.
Smart meters are that's like sleeping with the electric blanket. It's just magnified and pumping right into the inside of the house where those meters are congregated, pumping boku EMFs. So if you can not get a smart meter, that's good. If you own your home, you're watching this for the first time, and you see that you don't have a smart meter, you start to pay attention to that, because if they ask you, we're going to upgrade you to smart meters, see if you can just prevent that. And if you can't prevent that, honestly, I would move. I would not live with a smart meter.
See, how do they keep putting those in then if they're bad for? I mean, is it just straight lobbyists?
Wake up to the world that we're in. It is straight lobbying and straight fake science.
Wow.
So a lot of the things that get approved aren't even the specs they're getting approved on aren't actually what's happening. That's part of it. Or there's just dishonesty and greed in the background.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, because I don't think I can stress this too much, almost everywhere you look, that's what you're going to find out. That we've been lied to.
It's smoke and mirrors.
Been controlled. It's all smoke and mirrors. Yeah. And, there's a select group of people that have kind of all the goodies, but not us yet. Yeah. And that, again, and I think it's just really important for the newer viewers to understand what you thought everything was like is not what everything is like. Mm-hmm. I coach people all the time about life, and I'm like, you can't trust that filter on your refrigerator to get all your chlorine and fluoride out. That is not what that does. You need to spend a few $100s to get a great filtration system.
Yeah, RO, right?
RO or distilled if you have to, but that's the thing. If people are drinking tap water and worrying about their microwaves, they might have themselves a little confused, because water is essential. So I would say spend the money on the water and then unplug your microwave. If I live in a home that has a microwave, I never use it. I use it as an extra pantry space, and I never, ever actually turn it on. And again, if we rely on mainstream media, advertising, and what mom and dad did and what grandma did, we're probably not going to be very happy with the outcome. Yeah. We have to think outside of the box. We have to look at what are the alternative medical specialists like Dr. Mercola at drmercola.com.
Now, he's really intense. He goes all the way. He goes deep into this stuff.
Yes, and he should.
Yeah. It's a little too much for people, because sometimes people have a hard time actually listening to his interviews. I love him, but he really gets into it. And that's what I love about it. But he goes cutting edge, but he practices all this stuff too.
Well, Jim Mercola is the cutting edge.
He is.
He is the cutting edge. So what I've learned about being a pioneer is you don't get there by being sort of melodious and slow and No, anyone on the edge, and I know I've been on the edge my entire life, we are intense, and we have to be intense.
He wrote a book called Emfs, and it's like the F with the little apostrophe and then an D. So EMF'd. And he talks all about the EMFs and stuff in that book. So if you guys want to check out a book,
that's a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then one last fun thing that I'll share is that Teresa Dale actually taught me how to do dowsing. And she taught me how to make little dowsing rods. We took, copper and bent them into those L shapes. And then she taught me how to walk through homes holding the rods with my intention of looking for over EMF problems. And sure enough, I'd get in front of the refrigerator and the wires, the lines would cross.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. So you actually can learn to do that. There's all kinds of cool dowsing stuff and organizations you can join. But dowsing is also another simple way you can kind of check things out for yourself. Yeah. You can learn to muscle test yourself. You can go to YouTube and then just type in muscle testing. And you can look at some of those videos. There's also the O-ring muscle testing. And the O-ring is a method that one can do oneself to check and see, if something's safe or something's not safe. But again, every electronic, everything that has a screen, everything that think about it. People go home, they have electric toothbrushes at night. Everything's got some kind of an EMF happening.
And now with the Internet of Things, we're going to have like smart belt buckles. We're going to have like our smart watches. I do sometimes feel some pain in my wrist that I'm wearing my Apple Watch on. In fact, I just broke my watch. I dropped it on the floor. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to go spend $150 to fix it. So I'm just like, hey, you know what? It's okay. I'm actually trying to go more. I think there's a few easy, simple things that I'm going to start doing. First off,
I want to share one more really quick. Can you hold that thought? Okay. Because the watch brought it up and this is so cool. Okay. So Teresa Dale taught me that the inflow of human energy comes through the left hand, left arm into the body, and the outflow of human energy goes out the right side of the body. Most people are right-handed and wear their watches where, Dave Stone? Where do they wear their watches?
Right, left hand.
Most people are right-handed, therefore they wear their watch on their left hand, and as energy's flowing in, it hits that EMF spot, and you don't receive your natural, universal, lawful energy. So what she would make all her clientele do is switch their watch to the right side, and if they didn't want to do that, she'd say, just take it off. I insist. This is hurting you.
I would flip it once every while because I actually would feel my wrist would get sore.
I had someone give me an Apple Watch and I regifted it last year for Christmas.
We don't need it. I think, here's the cool thing. I can still take my phone on my walks, but I was having it in my front pocket. So now I put my phone on airplane mode on my walk and it still gives me the pedometer.
And you can still use your walking app. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the way to do that. Put the phone on airplane mode. You can still hit your iTunes while you're running, or you can. Yeah, I think that's just a simple thing. It won't cost a penny.
Your phone's not going to ring when you're hiking.
It's great too. Yeah.
I answered it before on the hike. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm hiking.
No. I like one of those guys in the movies. Like, what is he doing out there in the suit in nature on the phone?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So so hopefully this will be helpful for people, and we'll do another one down the road. Down the road as 5G is more prevalent, or in my personal preference, we'll do one on an update because 5G just got stopped, and they're going to come out with something completely different. Because that's really what has to happen.
There's just so much infrastructure already invested into 5G. It's going to need to be a big reworking of the people in charge in order for that to happen. But it's going to it's really just understanding that this is humanity we're talking about, guys. We're trying to
and not
all
just
survive
humanity
together.
Yes, humanity, but I just saw on social media today a really great picture of an evergreen tree growing next to a house, very close to the wall of the house, like people do, plant trees, and they get bigger. But right next to the evergreen tree were smart meters, about 3 or 4 of them. The half laterally of the evergreen tree closest to the smart meters was entirely browned out. It was dead. The other side was green, further away from those smart meters. That's a great example of what we're talking about here.
I was having a feeling if this is bothering us, try to grow a garden or being bombarded around 5. We should do that test. We should go put a garden under a 5G tower and then another similar one, because I have a
Oh,
feeling.
they're doing all those tests, and
Oh,
the results are not good. The results are terrible.
And
So
even if
that's
the
why we
food
need to grow up and
grows,
wake up.
even if the food grows, I guarantee they test that food. It isn't going to have any nutrients in it.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to get taken out by bugs anyway. It's going to get infested.
It'll get fungus and get infested and get trashed out. Yeah. So we're at a very interesting turning point. There's a little evidence in my Sherlock Holmes part of my brain that studies what the Trump administration is doing and what's going on. I do see some very subtle movements in the right direction. I personally also think that we're not going to see those things come into fruition until his second term, which, yes, I am making a prediction. He gets reelected for a second term. And I think that's when we're going to see things really change. But I think it's important to reiterate to the viewers, this is the energy system that we're working with now. And so we must shape up, suit up, and be responsible for the fact that we're dealing with something that is inherently harmful to our bodies. Once we get over that hurdle, I think we're going to be doing better. And I think that's part of the consciousness required for us to actually earn the next level of energy. The next wave of energy is going to be tremendous, but we have to earn that. And we can't earn things by going to sleep. We have to earn things by waking up and being really present and investigating. So yeah. I'm a big believer in goal setting. I know you are too. And so maybe you have to make a step, one little step here and then set goals for, okay, as my income increases, I'm going to buy some personal protection from these EMF things. I'm going to do that. I'm going to stop using my microwave. Think of the electric bill you'll save on by not using your microwave.
Give me an example of personal protection equipment and how much would it cost?
See. Well, there's a little item that I have. Where'd she go? I have it somewhere. This one is a personal pendant, and I may be able to produce it. Yep. I had it up my sleeve. So this is just a tiny little guy, and this is like $40. It has little kind of specially organized wires and things. So this little guy helps organize the energies as they're coming into my body and just make them not quite those same negative energies. It doesn't take away the energy. It just reorganizes it.
Oh, wow.
So this is sort of like my number one, like everyone should probably get one of these. And this came from freshandalive.com. And that's
is
a
it
privately
called
owned
Organite or no?
No, but the larger units will be using Organite.
Organite. I've heard about Organite.
Organite.
I don't know what it is really, but I've heard about it.
So that's one. And then the other one that I do, this has the Organite in it. This sits by me when I work on the computer. It doesn't prevent EMFs. Again, what this does is create a harmonious frequency that kind of helps buffer the EMFs. So the combination of wearing the pendant and having the little pad, that's a really good combination.
Wow.
There are lots of companies out there that make EMF protection devices. I listened to this founder on some YouTubes, really liked his style, really liked his expertise and how deep he went into the technology. So that's another thing people can do is go to freshandalive.com and read his articles about EMFs, the dangers, what he's doing, why he's doing it, et cetera. So, because I think that until we have that wave of change, we're going to need to do small things at home, small things in the car to protect ourselves. Definitely our cell phones have to have a device. That's critical.
One of those stickers.
Yeah, something that will be organizing the energy.
It's weird because that's interesting because it just feels like it's like, a sticker's going to do something.
Yeah.
It's like, but it does.
It does. It depends on what things are made out of. I remember the first time I bought a EMF device for my cell phone, I couldn't believe it. It was basically a little slit of hard, clear plastic with a green figure 8 on it. Like, what the hell? Are you kidding me? How's that going to work? It worked.
Wow.
So I don't know. These are the geniuses and engineers and people that are just in a whole field of their own, but they're the ones that think this stuff through and figure it out and, pitter around in their workshops until they get it right. You can definitely prove the efficacy of these devices using simple techniques like muscle testing and dowsing to verify that the energy itself has changed. So that was an important part of what I needed to see in my learning process about all this and becoming awake was, okay, I'm going to take Dr. Dale's word for it, but I'd also like to see some proof that this stuff is actually working. And of course, we were able to do that in the clinic and verify it. Yeah, these things work.
Some countries, they have those above the bed. They have a full mosquito net for mosquitoes.
Yep.
That might be interesting if that was actually almost a light chainmail or a metal material, because then over your bed it would be a Faraday cage.
You're probably the guy to design it, Dave.
Hey. So I think there's a couple things, in my opinion, that I want to start doing to help about this. And maybe you could hit on a little bit of them, but if people get a chance, one of them is probably trying to find a place that you can go camping once in a while, outside of EMFs, outside of 5Gs, because I know maybe one day it's going to not be good because the satellites maybe are going to be 5G at that point. But, our night sky has already changed also, by the way. We were out camping and there's all those new satellites in a row. Zoom, 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 following each other. We're all stuck inside, not doing that, looking up. And when we go back outside, our skies already has changed. Yes. And it's going to keep changing because supposedly they're launching thousands of these satellites. And
Correct.
So you do a time lapse. So all of us time lapse photographers, whoever did night time lapses, we would get like one little streak through the thing, and that would be a satellite or an airplane. Well, now we're going to have lines through our time lapses.
It's going to ruin that.
It's going
to ruin that photo.
Kids that are born now are never even going to know that there was a sky without hundreds of moving stars.
Yes, that's for sure. That's for sure. So that is definitely number one. Get out in nature, immerse yourself in nature. And not just like for an hour, like Dave said, get out there and camp for a few days as much as you can. Get away from the cities, get away from the big energy grids. I think that's a great idea, Dave. Definitely. I approve that message.
Nice. And then if you can, do an experiment with your family and try like airplane mode day. And maybe do a electronic fast for the day with your whole family, like whoever's living in your house.
I agree.
So you say, guys, let's put our phones in a bucket and we're putting the bucket in the fridge or somewhere else. And
maybe not the fridge.
Exactly. In the safe. And then nobody touches their phone.
Right.
Or we just learn how to actually control our impulses and just, anyways, I think there's just so much to this equation, but the 5G and EMFs, it just feels to me, I didn't realize that it's actually as bad as it is, like as far as radio waves in general and just electric EMF, just the basic foundation of EMFs. But 5G is just like an open microwave. Just everything I hear about it, everything you're saying, everything really other than the people just completely disregarding it. The other media, for some reason, there's like the other side is saying it's fine. They're probably the ones invested in it. But see,
probably true.
They're gonna like take themselves out. Or they know.
They are.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
we're going to see lots of cancer everywhere. Yeah. That's a for sure. And that's not that this is a consolation, but they're not immune from the effects of this. They're receiving the same stuff we're receiving. Right. So, I do think that we reap what we sow, and sometimes the sowing doesn't come right when we want it to for somebody else, but they get sowed at the end.
Here's the other cool thing is our bodies are meant to heal. Our bodies are healing machines, regenerative machines. So I did hear Dr. Mercola say another cool thing, that he said that if we do have some kind of a safe haven from EMFs, like we can create it in our house. If we want to take one of our bedrooms, there's this there's this metal paint you paint your walls and your ceiling with, and then you could ground the room so when you're in it, like your cell phone won't work. But if you could sleep in an environment, like that's really taking it all the way. But
but if you're in a city, a tight inner city urban situation, you might really need that
with like
because
towers
just because
everywhere.
you don't have 5G in your home, if you're in an apartment complex and the guy next door has 5G, can you imagine?
Yeah.
So these little safe rooms are a great idea. But some people need it, Dave, because when I was in my big practice, I saw many cases of what we called environmental illness. These are people that are they're not sick with a disease because the AMA model doesn't acknowledge it, but they're sick. And the reason they're sick is they have been EMF'd to that point of sickness. So they can't go into a grocery store that has fluorescent lights. I've had more than one client contact my office and ask if I would meet with them outside in a place of their designation that they had to scout out first to make sure there were no big electrical currents near where we'd be sitting down and talking. I mean, I kid you not. So these are cases that the cutting edge sees, and they're real. And one of the big deals going on in their body, not the only thing, but one of the big factors would be constant EMF exposures. Now, when the body's toxic in heavy metals, the ramifications of the EMF exposures go up. In other words, it makes it more intense. The more EMF exposure, the more the metals aggravate the situation. The more EMF exposure, the more aggressive the pathogens become, like the viruses and the fungus and the bacteria. So it's like this perfect storm, I guess is the best way to describe it right now, where we have people living with a lot of electricity. We have more virulent viruses, hello, COVID-19, and maybe these are some dots that are connecting for people out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we can find a place that's a haven against this stuff, like whether it's in nature, you go camp and find your place. If it's your bedroom, or if it's just
the beach,
or find your haven, and the thing is, we need that more than we think. What Mercola was saying is, if we can actually kind of be in our haven every day, and then if we have to go into the signals, into all the EMFs, our body can regenerate as long as we can find respite from the waves.
Yes.
And we might even build some kind of an immunity to the waves if we do that, and we're actually away from them and completely protected so our body can regenerate. Then we go into them. And the more we go into them, he's saying there's a possibility that our bodies might actually generate an immunity to these waves.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I think that's going to be true. I think that's definitely going to be true. So right now I'm living in the country on a horse farm. There is electricity in the house, but it's a 1910 built house. So whatever that wiring is, it's mostly minimal. Yeah. I can tell a big difference between living here and when I was living in Fort Lauderdale or living in Austin, Texas, just on the EMFs alone. So it's a great thing to get out of the house and get out in the country, or get to the beach, get out on the water, get out on a lake. Yes. Just get out there.
So let's, there's another big topic that I want to hit with you on the next time we talk, if you don't mind. You already brought it up in the beginning, was vaccinations.
Oh, I would love to have this conversation with you, because I got a lot to say about this, because I again had great exposure with Dr. Dale in her practice. And so I think I have a few mind-blowing things to say. Okay,
let's talk about that, because I think people need to know, because right now we're in a very interesting time where 5G is possibly getting introduced, possible vaccinations are being talked about. But it's just
we've got them spraying the skies to try to control the weather, and they're using heavy metals, of course, which precipitate down, and we're affected by that. So we'll do vaccinations, and then we can do one on heavy metals after that.
Okay, yeah. Okay. 2 great topics. Well, thanks again so much. This was such a great conversation.
You're so welcome. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it again. And happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, you can see I have the flowers here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Cool. All right.
Take care.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Healthy and Family Show. Visit our website at healthyandfamily.com. That's healthyandfamily.com to see what all the other doctors, experts, and real moms have to say about keeping your whole family healthy. This episode has been brought to you by CompleteNutro.com, Whole Family Nutrition, and aired on the Goldstone Network. People, Planet, Future.